To this day, this music just gets me pumped up. As incoherent and stupid as it is, it brings back memories of Thursday nights spent watching WWF SmackDown in front of my television when I was in my teenage years. And you can bet your ass, when they started coming out with WWF SmackDown games for the Sony PlayStation, I was among the first to pick them up. This is the second game in that series, developed by Ukes and published by THQ. This is WWF SmackDown 2, Know Your Role. The game, of course, features a roster chock full of your favorite characters from the Attitude Era, including Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, and the most vicious badass to ever step foot into the squared circle, Steve Blackman. Now, there are a lot of reasons why wrestling was so popular in the late 90s and early 2000s, but I don't think it's any coincidence that its popularity grew and fell with Steve Blackman's career. Here you can see him recreating the classic battle between Steve Blackman and Triple H for the WWF Championship and the control of WWF. Steve Blackman won, of course, logically. I mean, does anybody even remember this Triple H guy at this point? Come on. And why do barrels fall from the ceiling when you throw people into jukeboxes? I don't know, it's wrestling, and it doesn't matter because it's just really fun. I mean, just look at this. I'm driving around a forklift running over Triple H. This should be a feature in every wrestling game, or every game, period. I mean, what better feeling is there than giving Triple H a sidewalk slam on a forklift, or throwing him into a car, or giving him a power bomb through a restaurant table? And if for whatever reason you get bored of torturing Triple H, you can recreate other classic WWF matches like The Undertaker versus Funaki in the Hell in a Cell. What, you don't remember this match? I'm pretty sure Dave Meltzer gave it 5 stars. Anyways, the gimmick matches in this game are really where most of the fun is to be had, and you don't really get action like this in the newer wrestling games today, which is fine because the product is so much different. This was a time of extreme violence and gore, and the game really reflects the attitude that was present in the late 90s and early 2000s wrestling product. And of course, if you get sick of just doing Hell in the Cell matches with Kai and Tai, I don't know why you would. The game does feature a full-fledged season mode, including all the backstage shenanigans, scheming, off-color drama that really made the product so enjoyable to watch back then. And the storylines aren't as cohesive week to week as they are in later games like Here Comes the Pain. They're more just random cutscenes with random wrestlers in it, and then sometimes they'll have a match later. So this mode doesn't really hold up very well today. There are other games that did it much better. But that said, this is still so much better, so much more enjoyable, and offers so much more depth than the WWE Universe mode found in today's games.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
The only real problem with this mode is these annoying screens you have to sit through whenever you want to skip one of the 8 matches on any given card during the season mode. So, if you really want to dig into this mode, it is going to take you some time. You are going to have to sit through a lot of loading screens, and it just gets old after a while. Like I said, does not hold up as well today as it did back then. But thankfully, there still is a lot of fun to be had with WWF SmackDown 2. It's a lot simpler than games like No Mercy for the Nintendo 64 were, and I really think that helps it, especially with multiplayer mode. The game does support up to 4 players, and it's just a lot of fun to jump into, say, a Royal Rumble or a TLC match with a few friends. And even if they don't like wrestling, everybody loves the Worm. And that's just the thing about this game. It is the product of a time when wrestling was at its peak in terms of popularity, so it's a lot more accessible for people that don't even watch the product today. I mean, you could walk down the street and ask people if they knew who Steven Richards was, and they'd probably have a better chance of knowing who he was as opposed to somebody like Curtis Axel today. But is this better than today's wrestling games? I would say probably not. I actually do like the more modern wrestling games quite a bit, more than most people I think do. I do think they have some merit to them and do offer a lot of things that games like this didn't at the time. But still, it is really fun to go back to these older games. These games we grew up on. The games that were born of this rebellious counterculture sort of aura that permeated everything during the era. And I think professional wrestling used that and exploited it to its advantage better than perhaps any other industry did at the time. And chances are, you were just as captivated by its whimsical stupidity as I was. So dust off that old Sony PlayStation and get ready to revisit a time of chair shots, cheap pops, and puppies. This is WWF SmackDown 2 for the Sony PlayStation.
3. Ladies and gentlemen, this is proof anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation.